Hello there. My name is Cole. I'm 37 years of age. My background is in the fitness industry. I was an ex-personal trainer studying to be a nutritionist, but unfortunately, the last few years have been uh, put on hold due to antidepressant damage, the effects of the drugs.
Why were you first prescribed an antidepressant?
First prescribed an antidepressant because I was going through some dark times in life. I had an ACL reconstruction on my left knee, and I was going through school at that time. I was also put on Roaccutane for acne, and being a young kid of that age, only 17 years old, going through all of that, learning to walk again at school. The stress of school put me in a dark spiral, and I became very depressed. And unfortunately, the drugs were, going to a doctor was what you did, and that's what happened. I was prescribed antidepressants at 18 years old.
How did the antidepressant make you feel?
When I first started antidepressants, I I initially went on these drugs because I had a lot of ruminating thoughts, anxiety. Going on these antidepressants, I'm going back a long time, 17 years, but they numbed out my thoughts and just made me feel very numb. And pretty much over time, I just felt number, and number, and disconnected from life. And yeah, it just got worse and worse. But when I was first put on these drugs, I thought it was fantastic because it quieted my mind and numbed me. But I didn't know that the trap I was digging for myself. I was only young and naive.
What has your experience been when you came off or reduced the dose of the antidepressant?
My experience coming off antidepressants has been unlike anything I've ever experienced before. I first came off in 2017 after 12 years. And what I experienced psychologically, physically, is something that I find it hard to explain because it was out of this world. And compared to what I've gone to previously, this was in a different stratosphere. I was suffering psychologically, physically, out of my mind. My first attempt coming off these drugs, I nearly didn't make it. So I had to reinstate at the 9-month mark to stabilize my brain and central nervous system. I experienced hypomania, dipping in a bit of psychosis. And then I started the journey. I knew I had to do something because the drug was reacting with me, adverse reactions. And I had to do something to get off. And that's where my journey started, my 3.5 tapering journey. Yeah, words can't describe what I went through in those 3.5 years. You can make a horror movie out of it. Psychological, feeling like you're out of your mind, feeling like the drugs got a grip hold on your brain. You can't even control your own mind. Depersonalization. I didn't even know who I was. I struggled to get out of bed. Physical symptoms, a lot of tremors in my chest area, severe eye pain, eye pressure. It felt like my eyes were being protruded out of my sockets. Ear pain, felt like my ears were bleeding acid. Brain pain, as if my brain was burning in acid for many years, just struggling to stay alive, minute to minute. Severe fatigue, like being hit by a truck every day. I would compare the level of fatigue I have would be compared to someone who has ME or chronic fatigue. Inability to function, struggling to walk in a straight line. That doesn't, I could go on and on. Yeah, just struggling to stay alive, minute to minute survival. I had akathisia for about 5 years. It was more of like a chemical terror, and I could feel it manifesting. But the longer I stayed on the drug, the worse it got. And yeah, that last sort of 18 months, 2 years of my final taper, there were some days where I was pacing up to 10 kilometres a day because I couldn't sit still in my own body. It just felt like I was just being, your skin's just being torn apart, and you've got to move to survive. And it's been so traumatic for me, but I reckon I had it, at least 4 or 5 years in intensity. But because I'm such a stubborn, tough, stupidly tough, I just endured it. But yeah, most people don't survive that. It's ridiculous. This is probably, and this is the hardest thing I've ever sort of gone through. I'm an ex-athlete, played rugby, played Aussie rules at a competitive level, cricket. I've endured ACL reconstructions, meniscectomies, spinal surgeries, a ruptured Achilles tendons, broken bones. Nothing compares to the suffering that these drugs have put me through. In fact, I could tell you that I'd rather go through all these operations back to back with the rehab, which would probably take me about 5 years. I'd rather do that instead of going through tapering off these drugs and healing from the damage they have done. I'd do that in a heartbeat.
How has antidepressant withdrawal impacted your life as a whole?
It's impacted me on so many levels. It's undescribable. It's taken everything from me, taken my job, my ability to work, took my partner off me. It's taken everything from me. And I don't know, 2 years off now, after 17 years stuck on them, I'm not sure I'll ever get, full healing back 100%. But yeah, I'm going to stay here to find out, obviously, but it's just destroyed me in so many ways. I didn't even know they existed. I didn't know this level of suffering and harm could be done simply by a prescribed drug going to your doctor. It's absolutely unreal and inhumane and criminal on every level.
What did you do and where did you go for support?
I didn't really have much help. I had to, I went into the communities. I spoke with other people that have been harmed by these drugs, but my biggest help was finding strength within myself and loving myself and knowing that I'm worth it to be here and knowing that better days will come. So I had to find resilience in myself and push myself to levels I didn't think existed. But yeah, for me, it's myself. Yeah, no one can do this for you. No one can dig you out of this. You gotta fight for yourself. You can get support, but that support's not there 24/7. You got to want to live.
What did you need from health services that you did not receive?
Health services, obviously, what I needed was obviously informed consent. It would have been lovely, but it would have been lovely to be believed and taken seriously and not gaslighted. And yeah, I mean, if I was taken seriously and not told by my doctor to come off in 4 weeks, I wouldn't be sitting here now. I would be 60, 70% healed. So yeah, just to be believed and having the medical community to be educated to know this is serious and severe, and having the right tools at the disposal to look for help and for guidance when coming off.